What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the MG YouTube channel. I'm your host, Malachi Greb, CEO of Elite Automation Elite Properties and investor in Tesla. So, we're here in FSD. This is 14.2.2. Oh man. So 4 or 5. Hold on a second. This is not actually going to be really a Tesla video, but I just like to update everybody on like what FSD we're on whenever. Oh man. Come on, dude. I'm not awake yet, guys, and I'll get into that. So, dude, yeah, I'm gonna give it some gas right here because I don't like it waiting at this train track right here. It'll stop. There's actually a sign that says wait at that on red. So technically it did the proper legal thing. There's no point because then you can ride on red after you get through there. Yeah, okay. Software. Dude. Yeah, we're on .5, okay? Just an FYI. But just gotta give some updates real quick. Talk about some various different things today. But you know, for myself personally, you haven't seen a lot of these types of videos and a lot of FSD videos because I've been pretty busy working on an automation project for the past like month or so. And you know, a lot of times when I'm working on something, I kind of switch gears real hardcore on like whatever it is that I'm working on. So whenever something comes up and I decide this is the new priority, I'm like all in on that. And depending on like the level of its priority kind of depends on like the freedom that I have. And like, you know, sometimes I have things that are more urgent, need to get things done. You know, this is a $500,000 automation project that we're working on, so we want to get it out the door, get it completed for the customer, and you know, meet delivery times and get paid, to be honest. Our Elite Automation is a not a high cash flow business, but a it's not a very high cash flow positive business in the sense of, you know, we don't make really any of our money until like the very end of the project type of thing. I mean, there's some small amount of margin in between each project that handles like operational expenses and stuff like that, and engineering time and all those things. But still, the majority of any free cash flow is at the end of a project. So that's one thing about that company that's, you know, a very challenging part of the company. I mean, you know, we essentially have to cash flow some multi-$100,000 in between with that project. Hard stop. By the way, definitely our light system should be better. I think we need 4 lights or another indication like the blinking yellow for like slow down and then actually stop, because for a vehicle that is autonomous, it shouldn't have to stop hard at a light, and humans shouldn't have to stop hard at a light or make a decision to shoot through it. Just one of the things I've observed. But yeah, so point being is I've been like, you know, diving super hard into that project, trying to get it knocked out, get it out the door, do the installation, all that good stuff. And so I've been tied up with that. And also, like, we have some like major personal things going on in our life that we're not really disclosing at the moment. At some point in time we'll talk about it, but for right now we're just kind of like keeping it between us as like a family matter and all that good stuff. Me and Jenna are doing fine. You know, we're all doing fine, but yeah. Then yeah, been staying pretty consistent with like hitting the gym every single day. You know, if you don't know already, I work out like 7 days a week. And part of the reason why I'd work out 7 days a week is because I have a busy life, right? And there's some times where I don't make it 7 days a week. And if I miss a day or two, like in a month, which on average I miss a couple days in a month, right? But if I have planned off days, that doesn't really work out for me in my schedule, because then I need to take off on a day that wasn't a planned off day and now I'm not matching whatever gym schedule I had. If I only scheduled myself to work out 5 days a week. Now again, I probably like during like good months. I mean, there's some months I won't miss for like 2 months. I'll literally go to the gym every day a week for 2 months straight. But then it might be something where we go on vacation, I'm on site for an installation for a project, and my schedule is just like too crunched where like I have to sacrifice the gym to like get done whatever it is that I'm trying to get done. And so that's basically why I have that schedule. I also think that frequency is more important. It's the most important aspect of going to the gym than anything else. I don't focus so much on progressive overload. Sorry if this video is like all over the place, but I kind of just wanted to like just give y'all a bit of a breakdown of like my life and some of the behind the scene things and like the way that my life's been operating, and some of the changes, you know, currently in my life. Mainly just because I want to document, you know, the perspective of like myself and being like a business owner with multiple things to do or multiple companies to operate, and yeah, just really document it for anybody who's like interested in like how does somebody do something like they do, you know what I mean? Like, how do I stay up with my fitness? How do I operate multiple companies? How do I, you know what I mean? These are like questions that people may ask, and this is really some of the behind the scene things of like how I do those things, you know. By the way, I'm extremely tired. I don't even think I've did my hair. Yeah, I haven't even done my hair or nothing, man. So one thing that's really different from my schedule is that I've actually been like just sleeping in and not going to the gym in the morning and then hitting the gym in the evening, which is something I never do. I'm normally wake up at 5 in the morning type of person. I actually wake up before 5 in the morning. Generally, I'm at the gym at 5 in the morning, and that's the schedule I go with. But in reality, I've just chosen to. I'm going through a phase of my life where I want to sleep in right now, and then just go to the gym whenever I get off work, or get done with my business activities or whatever it is that I'm doing. So yeah. Oh, the other thing that's there too is like, especially with me being tired, I drink probably like anywhere between 2 to 3 energy drinks a day. And yesterday was my first day with like no energy drinks. I had 2 black coffees. Today's my second day of no energy drinks, and I've had 0 black coffees. So like, I'm not awake at all yet. I'm just still like not here yet. So it takes me a while to wake up. I'm a long time waker upper, which is part of the reason why I like going to the gym first, because it takes me like sometimes like 2 hours to like really wake up, even if I drink energy drinks and everything, unless I go to the gym. And then just like the blood movement of like working out like has me like fully awake, and also I could pop into the gym, be half asleep, like with my eyes closed, lifting something, and by the time I'm done with my workout, like not even by the time I'm done with my workout, but within like a few sets, like the blood flow and everything gets me like awake, versus like now in the morning I'm gonna naturally wake up because I'm not doing like any running or really any physical activity in the beginning of the day. So it takes me more time to wake up, which again, that's why I like to work out in the morning, because it gets me woke up, and by the time I'm done with the gym, I'm ready to go for the day. I'm completely like, I don't say wired up, but I'm much more likely to be wired up than I am not going to the gym. So so yeah, going through this transition of like not drinking like 3 energy drinks a day like really crashes you out, because like your body's like so used to like drinking that many energy drinks, and then you don't have it, you know. So you just like crash out really hard, and so that's where we're at today. Yeah. But honestly, like part of my thing with the energy drinks is like I just need to supplement myself, especially whenever I'm sitting at a computer desk, probably more so than anything. Um, and you know, it's just like the sedentariness needs something to like amplify you to like kind of push you through the day, in my opinion. But now I'm gonna try to like go through a phase where I'm just not drinking as many energy drinks. I don't say I'm not gonna drink energy drinks at all. Like, I'm not one of those people that says like I'm done drinking energy drinks. I mean, sometimes I go through phases of like I'm done drinking energy drinks, and it's one of those things where it's like I don't care. Meaning, I could say I'm done drinking energy drinks, but if I have an energy drink on a Tuesday and then I decide I don't, you know, and then I don't beat myself up about it, right? I see people do that a lot with like other things as well, whether it's smoking or drinking or whatever it may be. They're like, oh, I'm just done, right? And they go pour out all their alcohol, and then a week later they're like buying a new bottle. It's like, okay, well, I can say that I'm not gonna drink, you know, but I'm not gonna go pour out like my alcohol. And it's more of a thing of dialing back. You know, this is something I go through phases in my life where I dial back on things, right? So like I might go a couple weeks now with like very little energy drinks. If any, I may just do extremely well and just like not having an energy drink for 2, 3, 4 weeks. Who knows? But on the flip side, I might have one here or there, right? Because if I'm feeling like super tired for a day, and I need to be amplified for what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And to be very transparent with you guys, like I have a lot of business stresses going on right now, especially on the financial side of things. You know, we had just invested in 6 properties over the past 6 months. So we bought 6 new properties in the past 6 months. Did renovations to all of them. Some of them minor renovations, just like floors and paint, and some of them that are like more major, where we're doing like drywall and full bathroom remodels and stuff like that. So there was a lot of like material expenses and stuff like that. we put a lot of stuff on credit cards, but as we kept renovating, like we had to pay off credit cards to keep using credit cards. So yeah, that ate through a lot of money. And then now we're in February and March, which is our slowest Airbnb months of the year. So the cash flow is really low on that. Then we have like the Elite Automation Company. Again, just being transparent with you guys. Is not doing great on like the sales side of things, and also on the financial side of things, because of sales, basically. You know, it's a very challenging business. The sales of automation is a very long sales process. You know, we can start talking about a project, and the project might not close for 3 months to a year. I mean, it's crazy. Like, as far when I say close, I mean they cut a purchase order and award the order. So like that's one issue. And the other thing is too is like we just have like a major lack of success. Our like RFQ, which is our requested quote, our requested quote to actual purchase order is like 5%, and our leads to our requested quote is like maybe 20%. So you get a lot of people that just kind of want to know what you do, but they're not really ready to buy anything. And then you have people who are ready to buy something, but then they're also quoting against 5 other vendors for the business or whatever. And also when it comes to that business, we are doing work for all different types of manufacturers. So being that we're doing work for all different types of manufacturers, some of them are very challenging to work with, like automotive manufacturers, extremely challenging to work with. They basically want to beat you down on price for everything. If they even take you into a negotiation phase, they'll beat you down. They'll just say, we need a discount on this, we need a discount on that. Oh, your competitor says, you know, the robot should be this cost. This is what your cost should be, you know. And they basically beat vendors down against each other until they get the price they want. And it's just like a game you have to play, like if you want to do business with them or not. And it's just part of the game for that type of business, which is also part of the reason why I started Elite Properties, because the the elite automation, just the way the cash flows and stuff are, I don't love it. I don't love the way the automations cash flow because of, you know, sales, the fact that we have hundreds of thousands coming out and, you know, hundreds of thousands coming in. Well, I like the hundreds of thousands coming in, okay? I just don't like the hundreds of thousands going out. And the biggest thing is I don't like the sales process. And not only the sales process, there's also a problem on the back end where they try to beat you up at the end of the project. Where they say, oh, well, you know, we're deducting money for this, we're deducting money for that. And if you've been following the channel at all, I've made a video before where we've basically, just this past year, basically a customer screwed us out of $300,000. They literally, this is literally how they went about it. They did a spreadsheet, and in that spreadsheet, not a spreadsheet, it wasn't even a spreadsheet, it was a PowerPoint. They put pictures on the PowerPoint, like literally just a picture, and then put like $15,000, $10,000, $5,000, all these things they're deducting for. And the PowerPoint was super generic. Like, really didn't call out any detail of what like the problem was. Okay? And not only that, if you're deducting money from somebody, you need to deduct that on a calculated basis. Meaning the machine was down for X amount of time, the machine cost per hour is this amount, here's the deduction. Okay? With that being said, you don't have $15,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, right? You don't have all those different dollar amounts and them all being flat round $10,000 or $1,000 numbers. If you did a true calculation, they just literally looked at it and said, I think that it's going to be this much, right? And that's what they did. And they just, you know, they just dropped it on the spreadsheet, right? On the flip side, the same customer was supposed to have parts ready for us to do our installation. And we were on site for like 2 months before they had all the parts that they were supposed to have for us. They were supposed to have all the parts for us on day one. They delayed everything by 2 months because they didn't have, their other suppliers didn't have their parts to them in time. And then there was quality defects in their part that we was able to take to a CMM lab and confirm that their parts were the problem. And we didn't have, and it wasn't our equipment. But point being is, this is what they do to beat you up. And I didn't mean to go down this rabbit hole. I have another video where I went down this further, but they should not be able to just come in and beat you up and say, hey, you owe us all this money. And on the flip side, they delayed us by all this amount over here. Where's our money for that? And if we would have sent them a freaking thing and said, hey, here's what you owe us for all the months we were there delayed, they wouldn't have paid us anything. So, and that's the thing, is they're holding the money still, right? They have the money that they need to pay us. They owed us $1 million. They held $1 million from us for 9 months and said, first of all, before they told us they were going to pay us that $1 million, they sent out an email to all their vendors saying we're having financial problems. And then, like a week or two later, they came up with all these problems with the machine. So what happened was they got into a financial struggle, and they needed to find a way to recover by taking it out of their vendors. That's basically exactly what they did. And so, and again, they're holding the money. They held $1 million from us, and they said, accept this $300,000 deduction so we can close things out. They weren't willing to make any amount of payment. They weren't willing to do a payment schedule, anything, even if they're in a financial hardship or whatever, for 9 months holding $1 million. So imagine the impact on your business for that. They're holding $1 million from you, and then they're holding $1 million from you, and then on top of that, they're going to hold over your head. We're either going to deduct $300,000 from this $1 million we owe you, and if you don't accept this, then we can't pay you the $1 million. Basically, is how they do it, or how they did it. But it's very common. I've seen it many times. Not only me owning Elite Automation, but me working for the past vendor that I've worked for, and just talking to other automation companies out there in the industry. Automation companies get abused by manufacturers because they have a tendency to beat down vendors to get the lowest costs. So when it comes, especially for like automotive industry, but like whenever there's a part like a steering wheel for your car, right? A bunch of vendors bid to do the steering wheel in the car. And so they've developed a process where they're good at beating down the cost of the steering wheel. They'll go to a bunch of different vendors for the steering wheel, which would be a mass manufactured item, which I get that. I get that to some degree, right? For a mass manufactured item. The issue with automation companies it's not a mass manufactured item. We're not getting a contract and it's a 3-year contract. We're getting a contract and it's one project. And so they beat us down the same way they beat down the company providing the steering wheel, right? And they tried to beat down all of our margin. And after they beat down our margin, then they try to take out money on the back end for like being delayed, or like the machine doesn't run the way that it's supposed to, or just whatever. They just basically find things to be able to pull out, and then they hover the money over your head and say, well, if you want this last payment, this is what you need to do. This is like wild. Like you probably don't know nothing about this industry, but to give you an example of what some of these companies will do, like they'll say like, oh, this next button that's right here, right? They'll say, oh, our screen on our machine needs this next button. We'll pay you once you have that thing done, right? And so our programmer needs to log in, fix the next button, whatever, right? But the thing is, that button is like a 2-minute thing, and they'll hold $1 million over that 2 million thing. I mean, over that 2-minute thing, they'll hold $1 million. Like literally just to have an item to pin to hold $1 million. Just because they're trying to hold on to the money longer or whatever it may be. So I'm kind of done ranting on that side of things. I went way too far down that rabbit hole that I wasn't planning on going down. But I just really want to call out like and showcase Elite Automation and like how that business has to operate. Now, don't get me wrong, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of potential profit in a project. It just gets beat down, whatever. And there's a lot of complications, a lot of stresses with that. You think you have $1 million coming. Like back last year, whenever I bought my Cybertruck, I basically counted my eggs before they hatched. That's what they call that, right? Where essentially I bought the Cybertruck because I had $1 million coming from our customer. Then our customer didn't pay us for 9 months. That was kind of like one of my like treats to myself of like, we accomplished this big $3 million project, and yeah, like kind of like just a reward for your hard work type of situation. Been operating the company for like 5 years, and I hadn't bought new vehicles really. The Model Y, well, never mind. That's a whole other thing. I can go into all the vehicles, but that's a whole other thing because we were doing the Turo thing, so we've actually bought a lot of vehicles, but not really for personal use. But so yeah, point being, that was like the treat for that, and yeah. And then that money didn't come, whatever, blah, blah. So that's the stresses of that type of business. Whereas like Elite Properties, sure, we get cancellations and bookings, but when somebody cancels, like we lose like $500,000, $2,000. What'd I say? We lose like $500, $1,000, $2,000 maybe. So it's like it's nowhere near losing $300,000. You know what I mean? So the hits aren't as hard. They're not as stressful. I'm like, okay, that sucks. Cool, we lost a $2,000 order. No worries. You know what I mean? Just give a comparison of like the two stresses between the two. This one over here is you lose hundreds of thousands of dollars and can like really disrupt your whole business. Like shit like that can literally put your company out of business. And to be honest, it's put us in a very fragile state. We had plans to hire some sales engineers. Now we've had to go through the process of laying people off. Because like the way we cash flowed our business anticipated having that extra $300,000 to operate our company. Now we don't have it. And I'm not gonna say elite automation is gonna die, but like that could be a thing that kills an automation company, right? So like by companies beating up automation companies, they're killing companies and not allowing automation companies to really become the best versions of an automation company. Just because like if you kill them due to financials, they can't technologically. I can't even explain to you how many companies that have been probably the best technological company, but they get killed off because their customers screw them. Again, I've heard of many companies going out of business because basically their customers didn't pay them, or they just quit doing a line of work and said we're not going to quote that type of work anymore because they want to kill us. They want to beat us over. They want to beat us over the head and take all our money. So, but I mean to go like all the way down this negative road, but I just really wanted to. I kind of showcasing just mainly the elite automation, elite properties, the differentiates in those businesses, and like part of the reason why I'm doing the two different businesses. And you know I went much harder in elite properties this past year because basically I wanted to just generate more cash flow and more wealth out of properties because it is a much more linear path. I buy a house, I make, you know, I have this much expenses, I have this much revenue, boom, 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 right? It's easy math. I can math it all out before I even buy the property, right? I know exactly what's going to happen. I know exactly how much money we're going to make off of it. It's like literally purely an investment on all the calculations of what I need to do to get that property cash flowing. You know, I know roughly, I can go walk in it and know roughly like all the renovation expenses that we're gonna need to put into it. Very, very, very easy to do. You know, things I can like literally do it in like an hour or two for a property. You can give me a property, I can give you like an hour or two, and I'd know exactly how much that property is gonna cash flow, how much renovation expenses we're gonna need to put into it. Done. Whereas like something like an automation project, I'll spend hours, not even hours, like weeks. You know, the whole process, everything's just like much longer time horizon. But yeah, this is a bit of a rant. I'm probably gonna shoot. I need to shoot more videos like this. I'm not gonna say I'm probably going to because I might not because I say that and then I don't. But I kind of would like to shoot more videos like this just so I can just like talk more on the different dynamics of the business. I mean, let me know if you're interested in this type of thing. Maybe there are videos that'll just go unwatched. Maybe somebody will watch them over time, over the next 10 years or something. Whenever, maybe, I don't know, maybe people see more success, we get more followers, whatever it may be, and people will be able to look back on some of these like not so viewed videos and be like, oh shit, wow, that's where that dude was at back then. And we're doing pretty well. I mean, again, like I said, we just bought 6 properties in the past 6 months. Not too many people can do that. But it's also like nowhere where we plan to be either. You know, this is like just the beginning. We're just now scratching the surface. Probably in the next like 10 years, we'll have, I'll say over 100 properties. If we don't have 100 properties, I would say it's probably because we have diversified into things like apartment complexes. And then like literally 100 properties could be like the equivalent of one apartment complex. Just like with the amount that they cost, cash flow, all those good things. But yeah, guys, peace out. I'll catch you in the next one. Subscribe for more content like this. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If not, hopefully somebody else did. Peace out. Catch you on the next one. Got to get to it.